Our podcast Altar Guld started to create a space where we're always amplifying other voices and setting a larger table. And so we wanted to take this old, familiar, inside the church image of an altar guild and think about how the table is always changing, and we're called to be coming to the table in a lot of different ways.
Our intention is a little bit to alter the way we think about faith and the church. All four of us are pastors. We're all inside four walls of a church, but we know that church exists beyond those four walls. And we wanted to amplify people's voices who are outside of those four walls and thinking about their faith and their life and the way that they love and exist in the world, so that those conversations could be given kind of a seat at the table.
It's become more of like a round table conversation around faith and life and calling and purpose and who we are as people.
We're trying to have conversations that recognize the cultural landscape we're in and that are asking questions that connect to what's happening in church, but that your average listener might not think the church is talking about or concerned about.
All four of us are very different, and that's kind of what's fun about it. We all have our own take on things, our own approach and style, but I think at the end of the day, all of us are rooted in the idea of God's unconditional love and grace.
The network is a really fun way for us to take the amplification to another level.
What I love about the network idea is the idea that we feature different voices. I mean, we have four of us around a table, but different people have different perspectives and different ways of talking about this.
That was sort of the birth of the Guild, was to say, how could we expand this podcast? How can we get more voices at the table? How can we birth other podcasts and get other people's voices?
It's been really fun to inspire and equip other people and to get them excited about figuring out what their voice is, what message they want to bring into the public square, and then to collaborate and work together.
We started 2 years ago as one show that we were doing, and now we have a bunch of spin-offs that we're doing or in the works.
Cafeteria Christian was the first kind of spin-off podcast that we helped to launch, and it features Natalia, Terfa, and Nora McInerney.
Cafeteria Christian is a podcast that just was an idea born of some conversations between me and my co-host, Nora McInerney. We felt like so many of our conversations around Christianity or what we believed in the world, you had to caveat it with saying, I'm not that kind of Christian. We did want to just have a place where pastor and a skeptic kind of having conversations. When we were first starting, we had no financial resources. We had no way of knowing how to do any of this stuff. We didn't have a lot of the resources that Altar Guild already had in place. So it was really nice that they could just sort of bring us along with what they already had in place. We're so thankful for that crew and their support of our podcast.
Natalia and Nora are amazing, and we've loved being in partnership and relationship with that podcast. We've got other podcasts on the docket coming out too.
The third podcast that's in development features Cheryl Phillip out of Chicago. She works at Churchwide, and it's around generosity. And then we're also working on two additional podcasts, one around masculinity and how the church has been negatively influencing men. The other one is featuring Andy Rood and Derek Tronsgard around theology and imagination.
As we look at the future of the church and what it's going to look like in the next couple of years, the medium of being a podcast is super unique. We connect with people all over the world, and it has become this little lovely church of its own.
It's sort of cool and magical in the way that a podcast is able to meet you where you're at in whatever tempo or place you are in your life. Like, you can just open the app and turn it on, and it's there waiting for you.
The medium of the podcast, our hope is that it meets people outside of the walls of our church and has the other 6 days of the week in mind.
The Imagination Grant gave us the ability to buy some good equipment, number one. It also gave us the ability to market what we're doing.
It's allowed the Guild to come about. It's sort of that mustard seed approach where it was a single investment, and now it's just starting to kind of bubble up and pop out and multiply, and that's what's exciting to us.
It's allowed us to expand our own imaginations about what this podcast could be and what this network could be.
It's felt kind of like a holy dare for us to get serious about what we're doing and to take more risks and to build more bridges and to be more generous with this content that we have and these conversations we want to share widely.